All right, welcome everyone. Today's talk is how do I get a position in the games industry, the FAQ. Let me share the slide so we can get going. Let's see, all right, gotta go here. Share the screen, slides, select, get it up to play. All right, how do I get a position in the games industry, the FAQ? This is the most frequently asked question. After 17 years at USC of founding, running, and building the games program, the most often asked question of me is, how do I get a position in the games industry? This gets asked of me at all levels, and I will attempt to answer this in the kindest way possible using my sage years of experience. This gets asked of me by seniors in high school, soon to be college graduates who have not taken any game building classes, and many others who have started down other career paths that ended before they did. There are many sub-questions that are part of this, and I will list them below and answer them as smartly as I know how. First of all, you really have to want to get a position in the games industry and are compelled to do this. If that is you, then great, let's keep listening. If you are just thinking about it, but studying or working in something else, it's probably not for you. You have to be compelled to this. In modern times, getting a position in the games industry means some years of study at the right university and experience in building games and teams. It used to be that all you had to do was take a beginning programming course, a data structures course, and then drop out of school and found your own studio was all you needed. That is rarely true now and not a recommended pathway to the games industry, says the professor who teaches games courses in a university. So let's start out by assuming you really want to do this and you're ready for some education. So what games program should I attend? Well, this question gets asked me all the time. Even though I've been at USC 17 plus years and founded the games program there, I usually do not answer this with USC, of course. I usually try and provide guidance as to what the potential student should look for in a games program, because there are many, and there are many other reasons that people choose their universities. So the way I usually start out is let the questioner know where hiring is happening in the games industry. First of all, one of the constants in the game industry is the demand for engineers and programmers is always strong. 65% of the demand in hiring for positions in the games industry is for engineers who know how to build games and work in cross-disciplinary teams. 30% of the hiring demand is for artists who know how to utilize the tools used by the games industry and produce art for the cross-disciplinary team. And 5% of the hiring demand is for creatives in music and sound production for games. 5% of the hiring demand is for gameplay designers. And for the most part, that demand is for seasoned designers, not fresh university graduates. So cross-disciplinary teams means programmers, artists, gameplay designers, musicians, and sound engineers. And notice I'm not including business, legal, marketing people who are also essential. I'm just trying to focus on the actual game developers, not the corporate side leeches. Now, I really appreciate everyone. I try to put a little humor in my talks. Maybe it falls deaf on the business, legal, and marketing people. Let's talk about engineers and programmers. When I say engineers, programmers, the school you're looking for ought to be teaching you C++ as a first language, followed by a data structures in C++ course, followed by a team-based project of some sort where your C++ skills are utilized. If the school you're considering is teaching these courses in Java still, you ought to run away. If the hiring people in the games industry learn that you learn Java as a programming language before you learn C++, they will terminate the interview and not consider you further. That's just the way it is. So learn C++, become a C++ pro. Also, C# is not C++, and while skills in C# are great for building side scrollers for the mobile market, C# will not help you get a position in a AAA title building game development studio. I pointer you to C++. That's programmer humor. That program also needs to include a solid course in networking, preferably at the applications layer, and a solid course in operating systems. AAA titles are networked and responsive software built with an understanding of operating systems. So these courses are essential in any program on game development that does not have the solid base of operating systems and game networking ought to be avoided, as the game industry hiring people will expect that you have had these. They will test you. You cannot just skip these courses and get found out later in the interview. Another course engineers typically take is a game engine development course. This is not a course on how to use a game engine, but how to build a game engine. And this course has been stuck inside of most game programs since the start of these programs circa 2005. In 2005, the expectation was that students would build their own game engine, as there were not any good open source ones then. Now, a real game engine is a big piece of software. For example, the Unreal Engine has more than 16 million lines of code, I am told, and your custom code on top of that engine will be about 200,000 to 1 million additional lines by the time your game ships. And Epic has probably spent over $1 billion developing this engine. So the expectation that you will build a fully functioning game engine inside of your university course is a bit off. Closest I've ever seen a student team get to developing their own game engine was during our year-long advanced game project course at USC, where one half of the development team built their game, Tales from the Minus Lab, on top of the Unity game engine, while the other half of the team developed a game engine that supported the functions Unity provided to their game. This could have been a train wreck, but the team was awesome and delivered both a game and a game engine. Most game engine development courses just task you with building the graphics rendering pipeline part of the game engine in C++. And that's probably an excellent experience, and I highly suggest that you find a program that requires such an experience. Here's the poster from Tales from Minus Lab, and you'll see it has a massive team, and all of these people have gotten great positions in the games industry. So once you're so equipped with appropriate programming or engineering skills, you should then take a course on game design. That course ought to use your programming skills to actually build something, not just hand you scissors, cardboard, and markers for you to paper prototype something over a whole semester. Don't waste your time, build it. The next thing you ought to do in this program is spend a semester working in a team, designing and prototyping a game that you can pitch for development over a 2-semester period. We call this the Advanced Game Projects course at USC. And this ought to be a simulation of an industrial team, meaning you really build something unique over an academic year that when you show it at the end of that year to hiring people, they will immediately want to know your role in that game's development and maybe even consider hiring your entire team. That is a goal and maybe a reach, but that is what you should be shooting for. Now, today it is very easy to download game starter kits from Unity or Epic, but if all you're going to do is build yet another side scroller, no one is going to care. You need to build something that shows off your technological prowess as well as your game design skills. If your game doesn't have networking, 3D characters, cool shaders, and grab the player's need for gameplay, then you will not get far with hiring people for the AAA title games industry. Let's talk about artists. The most important lesson is that there is not just one kind of artist in the games industry. Remember that 30% of the hiring demand is for artists. Roughly, there are concept artists, 3D modelers, character modelers, and environment modelers, texture artists, lighting artists, and animators. So if you're selecting a games program, you ought to select one that has a substantial program in game art and design that joins with the engineers and gameplay designers in the year-long advanced game projects course. Concept artists. Concept artists are required at the start of most game development to sketch out or model what the game will maybe look like. This is nice to have at the start, as it has a large impact on the selection of technology to be used in building the game. Concept artists are specialized. They have skills that sell the project before production, when the money people have not yet said yes. They're also great for putting together a storyboard for illustration of a complex part of the game during development. 3D modelers. There are 2 kinds of 3D modelers, character modelers and environment modelers. Character modelers build the 3D person, animal, robot you want for your game. Animators rig those 3D characters so they can move. Sometimes your character modeler can rig, but model rigging is highly specialized, and it may be a different person with different talents. Environment modelers build the 3D models of the gamescape, where the games take place. They build buildings, mountains, forests, where our 3D characters can frolic, run, shoot, or whatever they do in such scapes. And the tool used by environment modelers is the same one character modelers and animators use, Autodesk Maya. Texture artists. Texture artists take the 3D models and apply a texture to the polygons that make up the 3D models. Texture artists tend to act strangely if you give them a digital camera to use. They will take pictures of paint peeling, dirt, sand, mud in your car, just about anything that they might be tasked to apply onto the 3D models. I appreciate them greatly as they make the 3D models worlds look dirty and used like the real world. Texture artists are often tasked to work with lighting artists to apply shaders to the polygons of the models so those textures are applied. Lighting artists light the scene, the entire 3D world and all its parts with the hope that lighting runs in real time, with the 3D modelers getting the blame if they use too many polygons for that world. Comprehensive game art and design program. It is a rare game school that has such a comprehensive game art and design program. Usually game schools have to reach out to art schools and beg them to please do art for the games being built in the advanced game projects class. And such relationships are valuable and delicate and should be dealt with with the utmost care. Check if the game school you're considering has a game art and design program. Or 2, strong relationships with outside art schools. If neither of these is true, then consider looking elsewhere. The alternative is all your games use asset store downloaded models, which look nice individually, but never look well together as they rarely match the concept art you have either in digital form or in your head. Access to real artists makes the game schools great. Be there. Gameplay designers. Gameplay design is how you create the story and interactions the player of the game performs. So there's the overall story, sometimes called the backstory, and then the story for the player, meaning the player's role in that story, and how does that player execute that role in the story by some sort of interactions, button presses, keyboard keys pressed, etc. So game schools that teach you how to do gameplay design are going to teach you the history and vocabulary of gameplay, the various genres of the games that have been created, and how you produce a game design document. GDD, that becomes the guide for your development team, a guide that needs to be continuously updated as game production proceeds. GDDs have sections entitled Introduction, Audience, Platform, Systems Requirements, Key Features, Reference Games, Gameplay Overview, Gameplay Elements, Gameplay Verbs, Gameplay Philosophy, Pillars of Gameplay, What This Game Is Not, Disclaimer, Gameplay Overview, Flow Chart, Win-Lose Conditions, Replay Value Considerations, User Interface, Gameplay Scope Chart, Player Character Discussion, Game World Structure, Levels, Story Overview, Full Narrative, and one-page production plan. So let's talk about these parts. Just to give you some education today, now you know you want to do this. Let's give you a little bit of education about one of the key things you have to write if you're a gameplay designer. Audience and platform. Introduction is a brief in your GDD is a brief paragraph on what the game is about. What is the succinct game name and what you do in that game? Audience is who is the game for and their age. You want to build your game for a particular audience, and you need to know that before you start building the game or drafting the rest of the game design document. Platform is what kind of device is the game being built for, and system requirements are any special requirements for that platform. If you can't answer this in the GDD, stop. Key features. Key features are 3 or 4 bullet points on what is interesting about the game you're proposing. If you cannot think of these, then why are you proposing building this game? Do we really need yet another 2D side scroller? I believe we do not, and in fact suggest that Unity and Epic remove that starter kit from their websites, please. Reference games. Reference games are the games that have influenced you to draft your GDD. They might be reference games in that your game will play like them, or your art style will be similar to them, or your story will be similar to them. Hopefully it will not be the same game as XXX with different character skins. And hopefully it will not be a 2D side scroller or tower defense. I don't like tower defense either. Gameplay overview has 2 parts. One is a single sentence, a log line that tells you succinctly what is the game about. If you need 2 sentences, delete the second sentence. The second thing the gameplay overview section has is about 3 or 4 paragraphs that provide a high-level overview of your game's story and your character's role in that story. I know that writing the short story is much harder than writing a novel, but you must resist making this overview overly overt. Gameplay elements is a short bullet list of things like exploration, puzzle solving, and swordplay. These are high-level things your player will be doing. Gameplay verbs are the things the player can do in an experience to experience the gameplay elements with the press of a button on the user interface. Walk, examine, pick up, use, swing axe. Gameplay philosophy is the overall philosophy of the development team. With respect to the proposed game, something like our game seeks to innovate in the first-person shooter realm by drawing indelible chalk marks around each passed virtual character until the original sidewalk is no longer visible, or something like that. Usually an additional 5 to 6 paragraphs are provided to explain this innovation to convince the Greenlight Committee or investors that this is not just another side scroller. Pillars of gameplay are a short bulleted list of how we are going to deliver on our promise of innovation in our game. And what this game is not. What this game is not is a disclaimer to the reader, the dev team, the investors, to assure them that we are not building yet another 2D side scroller, that we are building a significant 3D slice, the global metaverse that will surely make us all entertained and wealthy beyond our wildest dreams, along with a signature in blood. Okay, seriously. Levels. Gameplay overview flowchart is a block diagram that shows how the various levels of the game are connected. Levels are complete standalone parts of the game that are entered from success at another level or from the start of the game. Each level typically has a win-lose condition that is either lets you go on to the next level or game end or to the respawn location where you have lost the level. When you have lost the level. Each game has to have an overall win-lose report. When you get to the end of all levels or the end of all experience, when it has been determined that you have completely lost. Replay considerations is the part of the game design doc where you either indicate that you can only play the game once through as things are exposed to you at the end of the game, or an indication that you can play again and receive a new experience. User interface is where the buttons you press are and how they activate the gameplay verbs. In the user interface are also informational displays that tell you your score or health so that you know if you are about to experience a miserable and humiliating virtual pause in your online entertainment. Gameplay scope chart is a chart with way more detail than the gameplay overview chart. The purpose of this chart is to provide an understanding of the complexity of what needs to be built. Player character discussion tells the dev team what the point of view of the character is, first-person view, third-person view, and how the player relates to the character in the overall narrative of the game. Game world structure is a detailed narrative on what the hopefully 3D world of the game entails and how the characters move through that world. Each level is broken out as to what it looks like and how it integrates into the overall game world. Story provides the context for the game and the detailed understanding of how the player character moves through and operates inside of that story. And there's an overview of that story as well as a full narrative detailed out as much as is useful for the development of the game. One-page production plan. There is a one-page production plan that indicates how many expected days each major task should take with respect to each specialized person involved in the game's development. The game's producer that puts this together and does a good job has a position for life. If the game ends up taking 8 years to produce after all the development money has run out, then that producer might consider a different career in life. GDD wrap-up, and that is what a game design document contains, and their mileage may vary. So gameplay designers are taught how to draft these through multiple projects in their educational program, sometimes testing their ideas with paper prototypes, and more frequently nowadays by quick prototypes using starter kits downloaded from the Unity or Epic websites. The game school that you choose should provide you some notion as to how they provide you this education and some notion as to how many of these gameplay designers have gone on to be deployed inside of hit commercial games. Gameplay designers that do well in their education programs rarely move directly into an industry role as lead designer. They typically enter industry as either a level designer, a technical designer, or sometimes an assistant producer. A level designer and technical designer require additional education beyond just gameplay design, and it is recommended that that additional education be pursued. Advanced Game Projects course. Now at all the schools you're looking at, one thing you want to make sure is that there actually is a 12 to 14 month long projects course, maybe with the title Advanced Game Projects. The structure of this course is that it is a 2-semester long development project, say fall and spring semesters, with the game design selected for production in the previous academic year's spring semester. At USC, we would typically receive about 20 game design document submissions, and a faculty and industry committee would get this down to 6 or 7 finalists for production. Winning teams in AGP receive lab space, a team of student developers, maybe 20 to 65 students, and faculty oversight with experiences in gameplay, design, engineering, art, music, and sound. And this course is run from 2005 to the present. It's placed some 3,000 to 4,000 students into positions in the game industry. So look for a school like that and have that kind of experience, and it should be rather straightforward for you to get a position in the games industry. All right, demo day, expo, whatever the name, showing off your games industry. Whatever game school program you are considering ought to have something called demo day or games expo, a biannual event where student-built games are shown off to the game industry. I say biannual, meaning that there's a demo day at the end of fall semester and a demo day at the end of spring semester. The demo day at the end of fall semester is the best one for hiring and internships. Most hiring and internship decisions are made during the December through March time period. So showing off great projects in December at a fall demo day is essential. Spring demo day event is also nice, as it is a great way to celebrate the game school's experience for its graduates. It is important to note that by the end of spring semester, all the internship and hiring positions are already filled, and that little in the way of hiring will occur at the end of spring semester event. So now that you know these demo day experiences exist, attend them for the game schools you are considering. They will get you excited about the game development career path and will let you know about limitations in the game school's educational program. If most of the games are side scrollers, maybe find another school that is pushing the boundaries of technology and game development. Figure 2 is provided. This is sort of what does an idyllic game development university look like? And it's got a game development degree program, a game design program, a game art and design program, and they all meet together in advanced game projects. And the best projects go off to an incubation and acceleration center for game and technology startups. So I'll leave this up there for a second or two more, but you can always come back. This is video, you can pause it. Additional evaluations to make for game school selection. Once you've studied the educational programs at the game schools you're interested in, the next considerations you need to have are the people that run the game schools. You want to learn from people who have designed, developed, and shipped hit games. You don't want to learn game building from faculty that have not had commercial game building experience, nor do you want to learn from someone whose primary experience in the games industry was to bankrupt the studio and put 800 developers out of work. The best way to discover something about the faculty is look them all up on LinkedIn and see who is best connected to the hiring people and the leads in the game industry. Last time I looked at LinkedIn, I found that I was connected to 8,900 people in the games industry and games and computing industries, and I'm followed by another 8,640. Reach into industry is important if you're expecting to actually get a position in the games industry upon graduation. You might also do a Google search on the key personnel to see how they've appeared in news and press releases. So that is how you get a position in the games industry. Education, and lots of game building. Have fun in your pursuit of that dream. Here's some reference articles. Acknowledgement. When one establishes the games program, there are many people that contribute and help out. This list is not comprehensive. Gerard Midioni, the chair of the USC Department of Computer Science, let me create the syllabi for 16 new courses and the plan to establish the program. Chris Swain and Victor LaCour were instrumental in making the initial offerings of the Advanced Game Projects course outstanding. Scott Easley, St. John Cologne, and Laird Malamud helped cast the Advanced Game Projects into something that will live forever at USC. And all of my past students who helped make the games program professional, great, and most importantly, fun. There's a Facebook group where these articles are discussed. There is also, if you go to my YouTube channel, which is Mike Zida, M-I-K-E-Z-Y-D-A, all run together, where this video appears and all of the other videos I have done over recent years. So this has been the Games Column. You all have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.